Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast. We are here in the Collide studio. Thank you so much, Collide, for continuing to let us use your studio for these recordings. We absolutely love it. And today we are so excited to get into an amazing story. This story comes all the way back from transitioning into a new CEO role, as well as overcoming breast cancer, which is huge. An entire journey of who we're speaking with today, who I'm further ado, I'm not going to hold y'all your suspense too long, is Janette Marx. She is or was the former CEO of AirSwift and now the CEO of Employbridge, which is the largest industrial staffing firm in the US. But you'll learn today with her story. There's so many incredible things that she has overcome, such an incredible life, and you're going to feel very empowered when you leave this episode today. So Janette, thank you so much for coming and joining us in studio.
I'm excited to be here and excited to dig in with both of you.
Janette, we've heard so many great things about you. And even when we did your pre-interview, it was just so inspiring. And we really hope people can take so many lessons learned from this episode. But first, let's start a little bit about your background. You know, who is Janette? What was she like growing up? And where did you grow up?
So I grew up in California. I grew up in the Silicon Valley. So when you're born in Northern California, you get to grow up in a beautiful part of our country where there's mountains and beaches and just everything, all the nature all around you. So I grew up with three sisters, and we had a really fun upbringing where we were extremely active, heavy into sports. I'm a swimmer. My first job was a lifeguard, and that's come in handy many years later. But I grew up in a really loving family and household, and it's so fun to get back together with my sisters nowadays, many years later, and just continue to relive our childhood dreams. We went back recently last September. We went back and did a trip with our dad to do a walk down memory lane and relived all of our stories of our childhood, and it was really quite a fun. I want to say romantic, but it was like such a fun trip to do with your siblings and our father, who is amazing. So it was fun.
What did you experience growing up in California that when you moved to Texas might have been a little bit different, and just the transition of the way life was? Because I remember every time I hear about people living, growing up in California, I immediately have these feelings, especially a lot of Texans do when they see California plates. It's like, are you coming here to change Texas? So would love to know kind of your perception and what that was like.
So I lived in California for 30 years before I moved first to North Carolina. And then I lived in North Carolina for 10 years before coming to Texas. So I think my North Carolina experience was really, really, really good for me before becoming a Texan. And I've been here for now, over 10 years. And I love Texas. Texas is great. Moving to North Carolina, though, the hardest part, number one, was just the weather. And you go from just the humidity is tough to get for anybody to get used to who's not with it. But I think moving to North Carolina too is the Southern hospitality. And that was so incredible. And so then when I came to Texas has the Southern hospitality, but then it's the most international city in the US. And I don't think a lot of people realize that about Houston. Houston's amazing. Houston has so many different types of people from all over the world. And the way you get to just engage culturally just sets Houston apart. And so I fell in love with Houston when I came to Houston. And I sometimes call myself a citizen of the world because in my AirSwift job, I've gotten to travel all over the world and see so many different cultures. And I come from the philosophy of wherever I'm going, understand that culture and become part of that culture. So I'm not going to fight against the cultures that I'm going to. I'm going to embrace the cultures that I'm going to. And I've embraced it here in Texas. So yes, I really like Texas.
I love it.
So you mentioned that while you were 7 months pregnant in your early start of your career, you got laid off, which would be such a terrible, not only are you scared to be pregnant for the first time, have a baby, and then the instabilities of a job.
Correct.
And now you're CEO of two companies. You just left one CEO job to the next one.
Yeah.
Bring me back to, being pregnant, getting laid off. What were your dreams and goals around a career?
Oh, when I was pregnant and got laid off, all I could see or think about was how was I going to feed this baby? So career was like to the side. It was just paycheck to paycheck. How am I going to put a roof over this child's head? And how am I going to make sure that my baby is well taken care of? I was young. My husband was young. We were both, still going through college, still doing the things that we needed to do to prepare ourselves for our career. And I will tell you this, it ignited this fire inside of me. And this fire has not been extinguished ever since. But it lit a fire in me that was like, I am going to do this and I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it well. I didn't know what my career would be yet. I couldn't have the foresight for that yet, but I knew I was going to be good at whatever I did and I was going to provide. And we did. And it was interesting because my very first, I was laid off and I went to Olston Staffing Services, which is a Deco now, and they put me out on a couple temporary jobs. So I got the taste of what it was like to go from job to job while being pregnant. And then when I came back from maternity leave, they actually hired me internally and I started my recruitment career. And I was so full of gratitude for that. They didn't have to do that. And I just poured myself into it and it worked. And I fell in love with the world of changing people's lives and helping them have that leg up. They changed my life. I was ready to change everybody else's lives. I'm like, I'm here to help. Let's go.
Let's go. When you were in college, or even high school, did you have any aspirations to be in the business that you ended up falling into, staffing?
I didn't even know staffing existed. I had no idea in high school that it even existed. When I was in high school, I wanted to be more like an aeronautical engineer. I was ready to go to the moon. I was dreaming big in different ways of where I could go with my life. And I literally fell into the world of staffing. And I say I fell into it and I fell in love with it. For a reason, because in staffing, you're dealing with people every single day, and people are dynamic. People are different. People have their own ways of thinking, and every day is so different. But in understanding other people's dreams and career ambitions, and understanding how to make companies great, you really get to pull the two together and just excel. And so that was an exciting thing for me to realize. You actually get paid doing this. I'm like, this is cool. So, okay, there's a business in this. There's a whole industry. It's a $600 billion industry. So.
I remember when we spoke, it's coming back to me now, like you were in college when you fell pregnant, right? So, and when we heard it, I remember thinking, wow, college was like hard enough to do it without children. Like, how do you do it when you're pregnant?
It's hard.
So yeah. And we've had a few stories like this where women fell pregnant in college and then but their mentality almost became like, oh my gosh, like, what am I going to do? Of course, those women went on to exceed and they overcame that, like, I would say, quote unquote, like victim mentality. Did you ever get into that where you fell pregnant and then you're like, what happened to my career? Like the direction I'm going?
I am a driver, number one. I am a big time driver. I'm also an achiever. If I do any of those types of assessments, I'm always about what am I achieving today? What am I doing? How am I progressing? I don't know where I got this skill from, but I've got a really nice skill where I can hone in and focus on what's right in front of me. And so while I was pregnant, after I had my son, as I started raising him and I was working, through that first 4 years of working within recruitment, I was promoted every 6 months. And it was the focus of, okay, what's in front of me? How do I do this job? And how do I be the best at it? And so my performance just continued to rise and continue to be off the charts, where I would get the next promotion and then the next promotion. And then as I got promoted, I would think, okay, well, how do I be a VP one day? Could I be that? And then I'd become a VP. And then I'm like, well, how do I become a senior VP? How do I, And so it was just what was in front of me. And I didn't really think about being a CEO until in my mid 30s. So I got my degree, my bachelor's degree. And then in my 30s, I was like, I really want to get my MBA. It always was something that just stuck with me that I wanted to do. And I got my bachelor's working full time, going to school at night, raising my son. So like it was not your traditional path
No.
at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I really, really want to get my MBA. It's going to help me in work. It's going to help me progress. It'll help me with my career. And that's where like my career, I need to start mapping my career a little bit. Where do I want to go with it? So I was in an admissions interview with Duke University, and they asked me, well, why do you want to get your degree? What do you want to become? And immediately right off, it just flowed right off my tongue. I'm going to be a CEO one day. And I was like, oh crap, did I just say that out loud?
Yeah.
Am I going to be a CEO one day?
Yeah.
Would you
gonna really
say at
happen?
that time you were thinking of it more as like a title and this achievement versus like, I know what a CEO is and I know what I'm signing myself up to and the sacrifices that come along with it? Or is it like you're shooting for the stars because it's a CEO?
So I was a senior vice president at the time. So I definitely knew what a CEO was.
Okay, you were working alongside
I was
them.
working
Okay.
alongside. I was reporting into a CEO. I knew what the job was. I didn't know the pressure of the job. I didn't understand like the type of just
Responsibility.
yeah, the responsibility is so different. And it's even when you're a chief operating officer or CFO taking that leap into a CEO role, you just feel the weight of the company, the weight of the world on you in such a different way than a different C-suite role. So I didn't understand that and appreciate that yet. But in reporting to and working with CEOs, I was like, I like that job. I think I can do that. So in my head, I'm like, what do I need to do to get there? And getting my MBA was one of those steps of learning about the other departments I didn't know about yet. I really focused on finance. I wanted to make sure that my finance acumen was at the top level. And so I took some of the hardest courses to learn and to just really make sure that I could elevate myself and see if I could rise to the occasion. Yeah.
Was there a certain role that took you the direction of that really excelled your progression in your career? Because every time I've talked to somebody, there's always like, there's this one role I took that really changed my mindset and changed the direction I was going, even though I didn't feel like that role was like right for me.
I'm going to answer this two ways. So first off, early in my career, I've talked about this in the past, but I termed it my volunteer time, but it was internal inside the company volunteer time. I raised my hand for quite a lot of special projects. So it wasn't my core job. I did my core job and did it well, but I got noticed and I built relationships with executives at the company and people in other departments that wouldn't have known me if I wasn't on that technology project, if I wasn't, rolling out a new process or a new training, or if I wasn't visibly, showcasing what I had done in my office, branch, region, et cetera, that made it grow so much when others weren't growing. So I volunteered quite a bit to build relationships and get noticed and just learn in that path as well. But I'm going to flip tracks. Later in my career, I think my favorite role I've ever had was chief operating officer. I loved that role. So when I had left Adecco Group and came to AirSwift, I came first as a global COO. So it was a really nice step for me in my career. And it was a deliberate step of, okay, I've done what I need to do here. Now it's time for me to go and take my career to this next step. And it was such a cool role because I was over the entire profit and loss statement of the entire company globally. And I was in charge of sales and recruitment and our customers, how our customers were responding to us. Were we servicing them right? Were we not? Hiring all the people, training them, making sure that we were doing what was right, compliance in all these different countries, moving people in and out and all over the world. It was just such a neat way to move engineers everywhere around the world. And AirSwift is phenomenal at that. And to start with a company when it was, $500 million in revenue and to now leave when it's 1.5 billion and more over,
That's incredible.
that
Yeah.
it's such a fun story.
Yeah.
But for those first 4 years, I got to be COO and all I got to do was customer facing, people facing, deal with, how do we grow the business and put the strategy in place of how do we grow the business. And that was fun. That was incredibly fun. And being able to do that put me in the position to get promoted to the CEO role.
when I hear you talk about it, I wonder, like, what was your time? Like, what was the day-to-day time span like? I feel like that would have taken up like every hour of your day. And I know you have a family, so like, how did that work out?
It did take a lot of my time.
Yeah, I feel like it's global. You could literally work for like 12 hours a day.
Well, when you take a global job,
Yeah.
you do start very early in the morning, and you do have late night calls. So it is hard when it comes to trying to manage your time throughout it. There were a number of tricks that I did, and in energy, so many people have to deal with people in different time zones around the world, and your mornings, you always know, are full of meetings, especially when you're in Houston, because to get Europe on a call and Asia on a call, that has to start at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. for yourself in Houston. So you just start early, and then, until those meetings are all done, and then you go on with the rest of your day. And then it picks back up, later in the afternoon when Asia Pac's back online and you're talking to them again. So I was good at grouping it and making sure that I had, nights where I was out at dinners or events, and then other nights where I'm like, okay, nope, I've got all of my calls for Asia Pac tonight.
Yeah.
But every morning I knew was an early morning.
Where does family fit into all of this schedule?
You plan really good holidays, really good vacations.
Yeah.
You make sure that they're amazing. The weekends are fantastic. And
so block weekends are off limits.
You block what you need to. It's also like my workout time. I work out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because that was just what
you could do.
Yeah, I could do it. And so you kind of look at what works, what doesn't. And it's with family time, it's about quality family time. So it's not about how often am I sitting in the same house as them and they're in one room, I'm in another room. It's about what are we doing together and how are we sharing our time together. So it's about creating experiences. And the more experiences you have, the more time you're really connecting.
Give us a really good holiday trip. Yeah. We want to get inspired.
Oh my gosh. Well, we just did one, which was pretty fun, but I could give you a number of them. The one we just did, I was out on the West Coast for Christmas, and then my son just got married a year ago, so we took him and his wife for the first time up to Napa for his birthday, which is right after Christmas. And so we did 3 days in Napa, and then the 49ers were playing the Chicago Bears, so we went to that game as well. We did a day in San Francisco, went to the game, and then we had a little bit of fun, like back in my old stomping ground. So it was fun just because you go a little bit behind memory lane and see it all, and you can go hiking, you can see nature, you can get all of that. But my favorite vacations are always beach vacations. I love to scuba dive. I love to be out in the ocean. I love to be on a boat. We always say the best day is a boat day.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
What's your favorite beach location or like destination?
So I love Thailand. If you haven't been out to Thailand to see the water out there is just pristine and beautiful, and the beaches are just like walking on pillows. Like the sand is just so
amazing,
so amazing. So anywhere in Thailand, you can just find heaven. And then I go to a lot of the Caribbean islands just because they're so close. So there's name an island, I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah. Love it. So creating experiences and like where it matters to you is like that quality time versus just being in the same house, etc.
Correct.
How did that work when it came to your partner or your kids? Because that could be like, hey, this is what works for me, but they may need difference from you. They may be like, I just want to hang out with you all day because that's what I want from my mom. So how do you deal with that?
So that was, okay, so mid-career, when I'm going to go back to when I was a senior vice president, I was traveling, Monday to Thursday typically. And then I was home, from Thursday night through Monday again. But I would travel through the week to all my different offices. My husband worked from home, and then my son was in school. He was in junior high or high school. And so he was always home. So I'd get home from a week and I'd want to be home. I just want to be home. You're tired. It's a heavy week. You're like,
I don't want to see an airport. I don't want to leave this house.
I don't want to go to a dinner. I want dinner at home. Well, they wanted to go out all the time.
Because they're home all day.
So let's go to the concert. Let's go to the basketball game. Let's go to the football game. Let's go out. That is where, when you're opposite of them, you've got to take a deep breath and go, okay, how do we make this work?
Yeah. Because you're like, I'm exhausted.
Because you can't just sit home and be grumpy and say no.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, can Fridays be our day home and then Saturday be our day out?
Yeah.
You like at least get a day to like decompress and then, get the energy to go back at it again. So we mixed it up, but you just have to have empathy for the other side, because if somebody's working from home 100%, they do want to get out.
Yeah.
They need to get out. It's good for them to get out.
Yeah.
And if somebody's out all the time, they need to be home a little bit. So you just need to talk through it and see what works for you individually. Every family's different. But I don't know. The more you talk within the family, the more you sit around and have a family discussion about it, the better, which was probably one of the best pieces of advice I got before I got my MBA. One of the other graduates who I had talked to, and when I did a tour of Duke University of the campus, had said he sat down with his family and talked to them about what the time commitment was going to be and what it meant to them. And as I listened to him, I was like, ooh.
Like, I need to have this conversation.
Yeah. You're like, I've skipped that one.
What if they say no?
Yeah.
But the way he phrased it, I'm like, I'm going to do that. So we sat down at the kitchen table, and I walked through, okay, this is what I have to do for work. This is what my schedule is going to look like. You guys see this. This is what going to MBA school means. And this is how often you'll see me. And then this means I'm not going to go to movies. I'm not going to watch TV. I'm not going to do any of the other, things. It's you guys and even my friends. I actually reached out. So I asked them, I said, can you guys commit to this? If not, I won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they committed and supported me through it. But I even had the same conversation with my friends, because your close friend group, you're used to like
going out, talking, all the things. You're like, I'm not going to respond right away. I'm going to be delayed.
But what happens when a friend stops responding? The other friends stop inviting them out. And then all of a sudden that person feels like, oh, I'm outside. And like when you start to think about friend dynamics and what happens. So I talked to all my friends and I said, okay, guys, I'm crazy. I'm going to do this. This is what it means. And so I didn't know it at the time. I hadn't planned this, but they knew they weren't going to see me for like 2 years. So they were like, okay, for that.
They're like, see you later.
Peace, girl. And so instead, at the end of each term, on the day that I had my finals, that night we planned a big party. That night, every night we planned a big party. We'd go out to a restaurant, a venue, and have fun. I'd invite all my friends, and they came every single time. And we threw a huge party. And then the next morning I'd wake up, I'd open up the books. It was my ritual, and I'd start my new term. And I was like, it was my one night that I gave myself permission to go out and just have fun, let loose, celebrate that one term's done.
And then back to work.
Yeah. And so my friends got to see me for each of those parties.
They're like, we're never going to see her at every single end of the semester.
No, but when you commit to something like that too, like I miss family reunions, I miss some weddings, I miss, you end up missing life events that are, you wouldn't want to miss, but when you prioritize something to get it done, that's the sacrifice you need to weigh. You need to look at it and go, okay.
Would you say your MBA was worth it?
It was, absolutely.
Because I'm about to start. I started mine on Monday.
Did you? Congratulations.
Yeah, but it's all online, so it's probably not as crazy, but it's a lot of time commitment. And I'm worried.
It's a lot of time, and you really need to plan it out. I would plan out. I'm like, okay, work is this time to this time. But I was like, I would go onto an airplane and I'd have, case studies printed out. I'm standing in line reading to, get on the airplane, reading my case study. Like there was no wasted time for 2 years in my life.
There couldn't be, because you had so much going on.
No.
So tell me, you are obviously, even just sitting here talking to you, you have high energy, high performer, driven, like nobody's going to stop you. What was it like when you got the diagnosis, breast cancer?
Oh, well, that would stop you.
Yeah, because there's no driving your way through this. There's no, like, I've got the solution. Like, there's nothing. You're at all means, the doctors is.
When you find out you have cancer, it kind of stops the world. Like, everything stops. You kind of go into a screeching halt of, oh, crap. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Like, you need your health. So I was diagnosed at the beginning of 2023. So it wasn't that long ago.
No.
And first off, I got to do my PSA. I got my mammogram every single year, like religiously, since I turned 40. And my mammogram caught it. My mammogram
Wow.
caught it, and caught it early enough that I have a very good story to be able to share. I'm very thankful for my mammogram, very thankful that I continued to get them even through COVID, and that we caught it at the time that we caught it at. So, but life does stop for a minute, and this is where that skill set of what's right in front of me, what do I need next? And it's not that I'm putting aside the worry, but I can't worry about the things I don't know about yet. So let me just tackle what's in front of me each day. What's the information I know? Okay. I know that I have a lump. Okay. I know I need a biopsy. Okay. The biopsy comes back. Okay. I know I have cancer. Okay. Now what do I need to do? Okay. I know I need the MRI. Until the MRI is done, I don't know what the treatment plan is going to be until I see the oncologist. So like there's so many steps that you have to take before you really know
what was that time period from like getting the diagnosis? Like how long does that take?
It was about 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So it takes it takes some time. Some people are longer, some people are shorter. It depends on what it is, what hospital system you're in, your doctor, your connections. I didn't have I needed to get referred to an oncologist, and then I did research on my oncologist and went, okay, is this the right person that I want to be treating me? When I went and met with her face to face after my MRIs, after all my tests, and it was the first time meeting with her, the best piece of advice I got was let her get to know me first as who I am as Janette. And so I spent time with her before she even put up my film and started talking about my treatment plan, for her to know who I was, what I do, what I am in the community, how I volunteer, what my family's like, my travel schedule, all of that. So she would understand me as a whole being, not just as
Janette with
with
cancer,
stage 2 breast cancer. So it was wonderful being able to do that, because I felt like I was talking to a friend every time I went to see her.
Yeah.
So we got to know each other, and then all of a sudden it became a little bit less daunting.
Yeah.
And I left there. This was towards the end of February, and it was February 20th of 2023. And I left there and I went, okay, well, she said it's going to be about 2 months before, there was more tests, and we, to see if I needed radiation, chemo, all the rest. So, and, surgery will take this time, and I need to go see a plastic surgeon. I need to see this. So I'm getting everything in line, and I'm thinking it's going to be a while. And I'm like, when do I tell people? Well, shortly after leaving there, like 3 days later, she gives me a call and she says, Janette, I knew I needed a mastectomy on the site that was impacted. I had no option. It had to go. And it was spreading faster than it should. So she calls me 3 days later and she's like, I just had an opening on March 1st. I can get you in immediately. I want you to come in now. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, you hadn't even had time to process everything.
I hadn't processed. I hadn't told work. I hadn't the only people who knew were my close family.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's 5 working days away.
Yeah.
To a major surgery. Yeah.
To a major surgery. And then it's going to snowball. And then the next decision. And I was like, oh, I'm out of here in 5 days. Okay. And I sat there on that call thinking, do I tell her no? Push me off a little bit.
Yeah.
Literally thought that. that's what we think when we're running businesses and we're running companies.
Can this wait?
Yeah. I'm like,
no.
Oh, should I push this? I'm like, I kind of liked having a month or 2 months to plan.
Yeah.
And then my voice inside me said, put you first. Janette, put you first. Yeah. And I just said to her, I'm like, yes, I'll take it. March 1st. March 1st, I'll be there. And it started everything. And then I'm like, all right, it's time to share.
Yeah.
So, and I just went right down the line of what I needed to do. And it does change things. It changes perspective. It changes the way you look at life. It changes, I don't know. The same things don't stress you out anymore. You just have a more inner calm to you as you come out of it. And
the problems that you would probably stress out about before, you're like, oh, it's not the C word, so it can't be that bad.
It's solvable.
Yeah, it's all solvable.
In business, everything is solvable.
Yeah.
So you start to look.
It's not life or death.
Yeah, we can solve that. We can fix that. We can put a plan in place for that. We can change this. so many things can be changed. So when you look at life a little bit differently and through a different lens, your stress levels change too, because the way you deal with stress, the way you take it on changes, the way you process it changes, the way you help people changes. So it just, yeah.
So how long was the entire kind of process, and did you have to do chemo and radiation and like the whole process, and you were still CEO running a company at this time, or did you ask for some time off?
So I took the month of March and April off. I had 2 surgeries during that time. One of the second surgery, I had opted to my healthy side. She said, yeah, I didn't need to do anything too. And I opted for a mastectomy on that side too. And I talk about this openly because I think it's one of the hardest decisions for women to make when they're faced with breast cancer diagnoses. And I just imagined myself at 80 years old and did all the probability weightings going, oh my gosh, at 80 years old, if I'm told I have breast cancer on my right side, this is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I won't have the strength to, overcome it like I do now. And so I was like, I'm going to de-risk. I'm just going to have them take it. So my second surgery was the right side mastectomy as well as my reconstructive surgery, and to put me back together. I found out 2 weeks after that surgery, my surgical oncologist was doing my post-op overview. They found cancer in my right side.
Oh my gosh.
A year later, it would have come up. It was small. It was microscopic still. I tested that I had cancer on my right side once they took it out. So the MRI, the scans, the mammogram didn't catch it on that side.
Wow.
And the ultrasound. And I am so thankful for that decision.
Yeah.
So thankful for it. And it really helped me, as I progressed. I went back to work the first part of May. And I was still not in a great place. I wasn't 100% for another year. I had 2 more surgeries that year. There was a lot of research done and a number of studies done on chemotherapy in the past. Even like 5 years ago, every woman who had breast cancer had to go through chemotherapy. Chemotherapy doesn't help every woman with the different types of cancer that they have. And I tested out of it. So I was thrilled.
Yeah.
That's that really, I heard it's so hard on your body, on everything.
Well, and I had talked to my medical oncologist about it because I thought I was going to have to do it. And so we thought we were going to be doing it in May. And I was like, okay, when do I need a plan for it? Can I do it on Fridays and then keep working? And then so we were starting to plan out how I would do it.
Yeah.
And then when one of my tests came back and she called me in and said, Janette, you don't have to do chemo. Tears.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Tears.
Yeah.
I was like, because it is so hard on your body. And for women and men who go through chemo and keep working and try to balance it, your energy levels are what you have to really start to manage them, because it's poison and it's attacking not only your cancer cells, but healthy cells too. And so I feel like I got blessed because at the timing of when we caught it. And so that's why I just beg everybody, please get your mammograms on time always, because if you catch it early, it's very treatable through surgeries. If you don't catch it early, then you end up with, a lot of other things that you have to do. But yeah, so get your mammogram. But yes, I went back to work, and everybody at Air Swift is absolutely wonderful. It was my old private equity company at the time, and they were wonderful as well. But I threw myself back into it, and I don't highly recommend that. But that's part of who I am, and that's what I did. And we had a lot going on at the time in the company, and we were able
Probably kept your mind off of also what was going on.
It does. It does. It has a way of just channeling your focus. And there's some health in that too.
Yeah.
Some healthiness in that too. Some mental healthiness in that.
Yeah.
And what it did that I didn't expect is it opened me up to talking about something so personal publicly. I didn't plan on talking about it publicly, but for more than 9 years, I've been on the CEOs Against Cancer with the American Cancer Society, and we've done a big Air Swift Relay for Life every single year. And we've raised money for 29 different cancer charities around the world every year. And we've raised so much at Air Swift that, I've been really proud of it. And so for the last few years, I've done the Fit to Be challenge, which is the CEO challenge, where you walk and you do steps for 24 hours and you're competing with other CEOs across the US.
That's cool.
And so that was in April. And so in April of 23, of course, I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even get up. I couldn't really move. And so my VP of marketing, Megan, asked if she could do it in my place, and then said, and Janette, can I
tell your story?
Tell your story. She's like, I'm going to put it out there and tell them I'm walking for you. And I'm like, oh, wait. That means I need to tell
the world.
people.
Yeah. People need to know. So
like, before you put out that you're walking for me, let's talk about that. So we had a good conversation around it. I'm like, wait, can I sleep on this? Let me think about this. Am I putting this out to the world? And so
you've probably had so much positive feedback though, when you share those kind of personal things that you've probably touched a lot of people. And I'm sure like now it's like, I want to talk about it because you've seen so many people probably come to you and be like, you know, I dealt with that, or my sister or somebody, you know, someone.
Yeah. There's more people dealing with it than we all realize. Like everybody knows somebody with cancer.
Yeah.
And it is, it's hard. It's really hard. And then it's hard for, you know, the people who have guilt that, you know, as they're watching their loved one with it, what do they do? How do they support?
Yeah.
That's where I love to step in too, with all the ideas of what you can do to support somebody as they're walking through it and going through their journey. But
what's one of those that could you give us like one, like that helped you the most from like outside support or your husband's support?
My friends and just even acquaintances, those who would send me texts on a regular. Some sent me like warrior songs. Here's your, what's your fight song?
You know,
you're going
just
to
checking
surgery.
in with you.
Yeah, but you're going in for a surgery and you're like, oh, you're anxious. And then I get my fight song. So now I'm like, what's your fight song? You got to have your fight song that you're listening to as you go in. I had others that didn't just say they'd pray for me. They prayed for me. I would get either a call or a text of a prayer. And I'd read it and go, oh my gosh. You know, and you'd feel it. You feel it. And then, you know, the messages and this has happened, but this was great. And like, just, it doesn't have to cost money. It's the thought. It's the thing that kills most cancer patients that a lot of American Cancer Society talks about is loneliness. It's loneliness. It's people who lose hope, who get lonely through their journey because people don't want to bother them, don't want to bug them. No, they're going through enough. They don't need to hear from me. They need to hear from everyone and consistently.
I was just about to say, like, what are things that people should or shouldn't do? Because it's so true whenever anybody's dealing with something like that or someone passes away, you're like, I like, do I text them? Do I not? Do I leave them alone? Do they need space? It's like the weirdest thing. You don't know how to react.
My
but you know,
answer is message them.
Do it.
Reach out to them. And you can say, you don't need a reply. I just want you to let you know I'm thinking about you. You're with me. Yeah. You're in my heart, you're in my mind, whatever it is, it's your words. You can tell them they don't have to reply. And if they don't reply, that's okay.
Yeah.
And a week later, send them again. You don't have to reply. I just want to let you know you're on my mind again. And this is what
that's really good to know. I think a lot of people don't know if they haven't dealt with that. A lot of people just don't know, and you don't want to say the wrong things.
And you don't want people to take offense too. Oh, I messaged them, but they never messaged me back. Well, no, they didn't message you back. They were on drugs. They were
you don't know where they were at that period, whenever like what state they were in.
They couldn't think about it, but you know, their caregiver may be reading their messages to them, and it may be something that they can go back to that's you know, meaningful. So I think those things are beautiful. And just the thought of, you know, coming back from the hospital with a room full of flowers, and you know,
people are thinking about you, and like there is hope here.
And you're like, okay, I can do this. I'm going to keep fighting. I can fight. You know, on days where you can't even get up and you're like, no, I can do this.
Is there anything that you stopped doing or stopped caring about? Because I feel like sometimes people are just going through life and really only get this like awakening of the path they were on or what they were doing and be like, oh my gosh, like now that I got this scare and that, you know, my life could end because now I have this, I'm going to change my career, or I'm going to leave this relationship, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to stop not putting myself first, or I'm going to start working out every day when I kind of was too busy doing business. I'm going to like, what were maybe one or two things that you're like, I no longer do that because that changed my perspective on what matters?
Number one, above all else, I protect myself against negativity. Negativity is a poison. And it's so interesting. There are people in your life that are just absolutely over the top negative.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that going through a journey like this, I needed to surround myself with positivity. I needed to surround myself with people who would help lift me up, especially when I needed it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think, and I look at negativity in a different light. So can't have positivity without negativity, but how I manage that and how I choose who I spend my time with and who's in my aura and how I kind of build, from within, that is a lens I look at differently, big time. So that I'm not like the life force of me is not sucked out. Like, does somebody give me energy or take energy?
Mm-hmm.
And then how do I either, understand if they're a family member, understand who they are and, the time I can spend with them then, and that's it, or, more time with the people that really give me life and that like I just really enjoy with. But that is a very difficult thing to look at and to kind of decipher.
I think it gets more difficult when it's people who are close to you
Correct.
or family members or
That's right.
people you just can't cut out that easily,
No. Absolutely. And how you manage that though, can change everything with like your outlook on life and how you wake up every morning and feel inspired and go about your day. But that is incredibly important. And then the second thing I did, I kind of changed my frame of mind. So after my first operation, my doctor's like, okay, this is how you heal. This is how you get back to it. And I said, I think I need to stop thinking about the things I used to think about and start thinking about my body as I'm only putting into my body or doing to my body what can heal my body.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed complete perspective with my body. So for the next 3 months, I didn't have alcohol. I ate a very, very
good
diet.
diet.
I wasn't allowed to work out. I wasn't allowed to like do much
because you had
because I had so much going on. And I was like, okay, so what can I do? The amount of water I drank, the amount of, and then I went to a nutritionist when I could start working out. And I went to a person who could help me with like building my muscle mass back. So I went to a trainer and I started to build myself back. The trainer's been amazing. So I do 2 days of weightlifting, a day of Pilates every week. I, walk a bunch in between and then my nutritionist, I said, okay, here's all the medicines they're putting me on. Here's all the hormone therapy I'm going to be on. How do I counteract all the side effects? Because there's a lot of side effects. Breast cancer survivors go on for 5 years on hormone therapy. It messes with you. It messes with your body immensely. There are so many horror stories out there. So I was like, okay, anything I put in my body, there's a counteract to it. So what do we do? How do I naturally solve for that? So the nutritionist walked me through how I naturally solve for it. So I got my nutrition plan. I got all of that set and I follow it religiously.
I love that.
And it's helped me because it's helped me bring energy to my life and it's helped me recover in a way where I feel healthier than I've ever felt in my life. So it's just, it takes focus, it takes determination, and it takes intent. And if you really think about it, what you do to your body, it doesn't impact you today. It impacts you 3 months from now. It impacts you 6 months from now. So if you string along a number of days over a 3-month period, all of a sudden your body starts to change. Your body starts to respond to it. So you have to have patience with it too. So
I love that. You've shared so much valuable information.
I know. The last thing I have that I want to do before we close is, with everything you've gone through your life, you just took on a big role, another CEO role at a new company after spending many years at AirSwift. What made you make the decision, and what advice do you have for those to like make that leap?
So your number one job as a CEO is to build a legacy, to build a company that can last and grow well beyond you. So you're supposed to build the talent around you, the leadership around you. You're supposed to work with them so that when you leave, they get promoted and everybody rises. I was at an inflection point where when I look at where AirSwift was when I started to where it is today, AirSwift is a phenomenal company and it's in the best shape it's been in 45 years as a company. It is doing so well. I am very proud of AirSwift. I got an opportunity to go help another company. And as I reflected and said, you know what? with AirSwift being in this shape, with my COO being able to be promoted to CEO, with others being able to rise as I go, I am the biggest fan of AirSwift. I love the company. The company, the people, what we built. It was a great time to say, it's time to pass the baton. It's time for you to lead. It's time for you to step up, do this, and take it to the next level. What can you do with it?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you do that, that's like the best thing in leadership.
It's like the best reward.
Yeah.
It is. It's so fulfilling. And then I look at Employbridge and I look at the journey Employbridge has been on. And the market overall over the last 3 years for that sector hasn't been good. And I'm like, okay, let's step in. Let's help them build this in the way that they need it right now. And the industry overall too, with the leadership that we need in when it comes to workforce solutions and what we're doing with it in the future of work, and what are people going to be doing as we're looking at AI, we're looking at all of the different things that are combating, will people have the same type of full-time jobs? Will it move? Will it have to, what kind of training do we need to do? How do we change that? I am now on the front lines of that battle of helping create the future of work. So that's where I'm going and that's what I'm doing. And I feel like it's a bigger mission now and a bigger calling for me to step into, leaving my legacy in great hands.
I love it.
So exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool. I'm really proud of you and very excited to see and continue to follow your journey. I'm sure there's much more ahead for you. So thank you so much, Janette, for coming on today and sharing, those hard moments too. I know it's not easy to talk about diagnosis that really wasn't that long ago, and you've overcome it, and you look phenomenal. So I mean, looking at you,
Really
I'm like, who's your nutritionist? Tell me your workout. Like, I love it. I think it's very inspiring. And I just love to hear it. So thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you everybody who tuned in today. You can follow Flipping the Barrel at flippingthebarrel.com, Flipping the Barrel on LinkedIn, Instagram. You can follow Massiel and I on LinkedIn and Instagram as well. And then Janette, where can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Just look me up, Janette Marx on LinkedIn.
There we go. Thank you so much. Thank you, Janette, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.